All right, so Zen sickness, can it happen to you? Has it happened to you? Does it happen to people commonly? Is it only at the verge of enlightenment? And is it that important, really? That's kind of the question. So, when we're looking at things that can go wrong in meditation, one of the things we talk about is called Zen sickness. And Hakuin Ikaku was a Rinzai. He revived Rinzai Zen Buddhism many hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And one of the things he was suffering from was what was called Zen sickness. And here's some of the um, symptoms that we'll talk about with these. He says, my heart fire began to rise upward against the natural course. Heart usually goes down, so the fire was arising, causing him like headaches and blurry vision and things like that. That's like the acupuncture version of what happens when the heart fire rises too fast. It also parched my lungs of their essential fluids, dry cough perhaps. My feet and legs were always ice cold. They felt as though they were immersed in tubs of snow. So this is actually a problem with the autonomic nervous system. Your fingers get cold, and so he was probably uh, over 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 focusing on doing a good job. Okay, so that causes a boost in norepinephrine, which can cause that blood to flush from those areas into the center of the body, making the fingers and the hands cold all the time. There was a constant buzzing in my ears as if I was walking beside a raging mountain torrent. I became abnormally weak and timid, shrinking and fearful in whatever I did. So you start to doubt what you're doing, you start to doubt your practice, you doubt your teachers, you doubt your process. This is the typical imposter syndrome that people go through when they're doing meditation practices. Um, I felt totally drained physically and mentally exhausted. Strange visions appeared to me during waking and sleeping hours alike. My armpits were always wet with perspiration. Again, we're in sympathetic overload on this one. My eyes watered constantly. I traveled far and wide visiting wise Zen teachers, seeking out noted physicians, but none of the remedies offered any relief. So he even walked around looking for people to help him, whether it was meditative or change a mantra or change his his process or something, and even went to physicians. Now, in those days, um, uh, acupuncture, moxibustion, cupping, those kind of things were actually very useful and very used, and so we didn't have the same medicines we have today. He was obviously suffering from an imbalance of brain chemistry. And that brain chemistry, one of the things that happens, as we've talked about before, and some of the ways that the brain works, as you start to focus on different things, you can promote different sensations. Now, if you start really stressing out about it, you're going to start creating cortisol. You're going to start creating more norepinephrine. Now, those are the ones that your body uses when you're in a sympathetic as opposed to parasympathetic. Parasympathetic should be kind of like the mainstay of meditation. We're actually trying to get out of sympathetic and into parasympathetic. But if you're really trying so hard that you're foregoing basic care and basic activities, like you're so strict with yourself that you can't even see yourself taking time to do anything but meditate and practice and study. That's where this happened. Okay, as we read through this, his account, it's really obvious that that's kind of what happened with him. um, let's see. I also had see he had found a an old man, an old mendicant, basically a hermit who lived in huts and lived very simply, and that was kind of the the trick with that one. So not much can be done. You have developed a serious illness by pushing yourself too hard. You forgot the cardinal rule of religious training. You are suffering from meditation sickness, which is extremely difficult to cure by medical means. It can be cured by medical means. If you attempt to treat it by acupuncture, moxicottery, or medicines, you will find that it has no effect. Not even if they are administered by, basically this goes through uh, Pian Chiao, Zhang Kung, or Hua To, who are like famous ancient Chinese acupuncturists and physicians that did incredible things and way beyond what the West could do for over 1,000 years, maybe 2,000. You came to a grievous pass as a result of meditation. You will never regain your health unless you are able to master the techniques of introspective meditation. Different trick, right? Just as the old saying goes, when a person falls to the earth, it is from the earth he must raise himself up. So using meditation, you can get out of this problem, but you have to change the technique, man. So, number one thing, like with him, if he had come um, these days to a doctor, they probably would have said, well, you have anxiety and you have depression, so we need to give you some SSRIs or some other medications or some warfarin or not warfarin, Wellbutrin or something like that to 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 calm everything down and to take a break. Taking a break from meditation is a great idea, especially if you've been doing it a lot. Now, what's too much and what's not enough? That remains to be seen, and that's totally up to you. People who jump into extensive retreats, 3 day, 10 day, more than that, that's too much. Okay, especially early on. Now, sometimes it's good to jump in. Man, you jump in and you hit the ground running, and there you go. And some people really thrive on that. But some people, if there's a lot of other issues that they're dealing with, that may not be the good idea to do to use meditation to cure a meditation sickness. In this case, for example, he wants him to use introspection, okay, which is basically that's like vipassana, right? So we're doing insight meditation rather than trying to find nothing, okay? And it's like that's like I don't know, trying to find a shadow in the dark. It's very frustrating. It can be very upsetting. And so, especially if you're very, very trying to focus and you're very, very motivated, like obviously he was very motivated to get in there, that can cause problems. So we need to have a way to get out of it. Now, if this happens to us, it doesn't mean that we're right on the edge, the precipice of enlightenment, and all of a sudden we're going to be done. Maybe. I don't know. I really think that that idea of enlightenment, yes, it happens. I think it happens to way more people than you think, and I think it happens to way more people uh, way more often than you would know. And it's probably already happened to you. You just didn't know what to call it. It was an epiphany. It was a satori, or it was um, a moment of lightness. Does it last forever? In some people, it does. These days, I don't think so. I don't know. If you look around, you start listening to more of the recognized masters, you're going to find that they say, no, there's no other um, actualized masters. But that's also a way to um, show humility. You don't want to say, well, I'm obviously enlightened, so leave me alone, whatever. I mean, you can't do that because you have to show yourself as humble. That's a very, very common premise in most of the philosophical and traditional aspects of Buddhism, Taoism, and other Asian kind of ideas. We don't brag about your accolades, right? You are what you are, and that's very, very common to the point of being a problem, basically. So I think it's a good thing to change your process if you're having any of those kind of symptoms. Now, what are the symptoms that we would see, in this kind of thing these days? Well, panic attacks, right? People would have panic attacks. He was having visions. He was having nightmares. He was having hallucinations. And now the hallucinations may be like just confusing little hallucinations, or maybe they're outright things that he saw or ideas that he had. His mind was too focused on that and not focused on him and his own well-being. What does a well-being mean? It means being able to, like later in Zen, we see things like, you know, drink when thirsty and sleep when tired and eat when hungry and relieve oneself when you feel like it, kind of thing. And that's the way we should be. And that's a very almost a Taoist kind of like naturalistic approach to living as well. Now, how to balance those? That's the big problem. People have a hard time balancing those kind of things. And in the process of getting that balance, we need to not forget taking care of ourselves and enjoying the life that we have. Anyway, this is Dr. Sean over the Center Path. Don't forget to subscribe because we're going over different problems and cures and issues with meditation, whether they're problems with meditation or techniques in meditation or even the brain chemistry in meditation, which is very, very important. And that's full body chemistry too. So a lot of nutrition involved, a lot of water, of course, is involved, and a lot of processes. As we look at traditional meditation practices, we find that those are already added in there. And there's a reason for that. Stay well, my friends. And you guys take care. Do your meditations. I'm going to, we'll get doing some more. I'll be doing more of the brain stuff soon. So don't forget to subscribe and like and comment if you like and let me know. I'm on Reddit as well. I'll put some links in the bottom as well for this one. Okay, take care.